Yeah, then shoot, I missed my chance. It just came really quickly. Today just felt like such a weird day. It felt like, I don't know, like a Thursday deadline type of day.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in again to another episode of Real Talk by Our Stories, Your Legacy. We're back again with another fire round episode. It's that time of the month. November is finally here, and these last 2 months of the year are definitely one of my favorites. It's when we enter the traditional holiday season, right? During these times, a shopping list comes out. Everyone begins preparation for hosting or getting out of town. Either way, this time of the year, it sparks the imagination or the inspiration, or both, to get up and get things done. So in this episode, we're going to talk about our vacation plans and say what's our ideal time to vacation. And lastly, see how it correlates with our current vacation schedule and why that is. And as always, before we begin, we're going to do a quick vibe check around the rooms for those who are listening and not watching, see who is all with us today. Of course, you got myself, and today we just have the partner in crime, Tyler. How's it going, man?
Going well, man. Going well. I feel like today was one of those days. Very long, and yeah, it was just another reminder of, man, I'm back in person. I really wish I could go back to working from home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just had to deal with some people today at work, just an irate person. So that was
It's always the worst.
yeah.
Well, shake it off, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was just like, man, I don't have the patience for this. Just kidding.
Yeah, man, it's definitely a gloomier day. As you all know, we like to record at the early beginning of the week, release the episode end of the week. This is 2nd of November now. First of November, first 2 days of November, and yeah, it's just gloomy already, raining coming down, at least here in the Pacific Northwest. But what can I say? At least the plans that are coming up are what makes up for it. Cool. Let's jump right into it. All right, Tyler, I'm gonna start with you. I mean, you're the only one here, but I'm gonna kind of break this question open. We'll both answer it. If you didn't have any conflicts with your work or your personal life, what is, in your opinion, your favorite time of the year to take a long vacation? Or it doesn't have to be a long vacation. Like, typically, what is your favorite time of year that you would love to take a vacation?
Yeah, I'd have to say, I know. I think when we talk about this and we really look at, holidays. Holidays are nice times to travel because everything is so spirited. Going to Disneyland or something like that during Halloween or during Christmas. They kind of have that magical feeling to it. You go to some place like that and you're like, oh, it's super decked out in, Halloween stuff or Christmas stuff. And it's cool to see. As just an example, I think Christmas at Disneyland or Disney World is one of the coolest experiences. Just because of how festive it gets and special edition things and all that stuff. So it's kind of cool to see. But outside of the holidays, I would probably say, I don't know, I'm trying to think of off-season kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Just when people don't go as much. I like going because Allie's birthday is in February, so typically toward the end of February we try to do something, or mid-February try to do something, go somewhere, even if it's just for the weekend. As far as like a long vacation goes, my birthday's in July. So every year I usually take 2 weeks off in July for my birthday, just because it's the 8th. But because of the holiday on the 4th, I usually just travel, the 1st through the 10th or something. And then I kind of chill out for the rest of it. But that's kind of my yearly long vacation, I would say, is the first couple weeks of July typically. is when I try to aim to take off. Um, yeah, and outside that, like in summer, it's kind of nice because then you can take like random camping trips and that kind of stuff. And it's not too busy. And it's like, all right, I'm peacing out, going camping, and going to take a few days to kind of recollect my thoughts and everything. So, yeah, I would say mine is in July, middle of summer kind of thing, just to kind of get away, enjoy the heat. If we have heat, normally we do. So definitely something to enjoy.
Nice. So it sounds like your favorite time of the year to take a vacation also corresponds with what you already do anyways, is around July, around the summertime. Or typically if you can find a time during the summertime that's off season, where like everyone's not traveling. Is And so remind us again, is that something typically because it falls around your birthday, or is it something that over time you just grown accustomed to, that this is a perfect time for you to do everything you want to do when you take a vacation?
Yeah, I mean, how it started was running, just because there is a race series that I used to do, or I say used to, just because it's supposed to be ending. It was supposed to end 2 years ago, but with the pandemic, the last year is actually this upcoming summer in 2022. But it's a series of races. There's always a race on the 4th of July down in Portland that I like to do. I ran that a couple times, and then I learned that there were other races happening in the area. So depending on when the 4th of July fell, this other race director would put on races. So it could be a triple or a quad, and then one year it was 5. But essentially, there's 3 days back to back where it's a half marathon or marathon, or in a quad 4 days. It just depends on when the 4th of July falls, really. And yeah, that's kind of how it started. Because then I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to take that time off to go run these races because that's kind of fun. But I also want leisure time as well. But then because my birthday is, that the beginning of the second week of July, typically on the 8th, decided to just take my vacation through my birthday, essentially, and kind of go that route and just take a couple weeks off. So that's kind of how that started. And I believe most of my vacations that I took that were longer were all based around running races. So that's kind of how I got into longer type of vacations. There was definitely just like those vacations, the travel or whatever, that I would fly out on a Friday night, run a race on Saturday, hang out in whatever city I was in Saturday, the rest of Saturday, and Sunday morning, and then fly back in the evening of Sunday, and come back to work on Monday, kind of thing. So there was a lot of that I used to do. But there were some bigger races that were usually in a series that I would plan those things out. So, I think that's how it started, running these series of races back to back days, depending on what it is. But then, so I took longer vacations for recovery and really enjoying whatever time was there.
Nice. Yeah. It's no, thanks for sharing that. Summertime. And then it kind of all started because of your races and stuff like that, and taking longer vacations during that time because of it kind of made that habit for you. Right. For me, man, it's actually quite the opposite. Now, all right, if I had an ideal time to vacation, it'll probably be off season as well. I agree with you. As anyone who travels, whoever been to the airport knows that it can be pretty stressful, right? Regardless if you pack light, you have no check-in bags, you have a priority pass or priority waivers, or you're first aboard, whatever. Regardless, it's stressful for anyone flying commercial, and I'm talking as if I flew private, but you know what I mean? Like it's just generally, flying can be very stressful. Just getting there, you don't know, you want to get there 3 hours early for no reason. because your anxiety is like, I'm gonna miss everything, but then you show up and you got 2 hours to spare. Stuff like that. As anyone knows, even travel just one time. I prefer the off season just because it just feels like it's less busy. Typically, my ideal fair time of the year is like around that early, like end of winter, early springtime, before spring break or whatnot, or maybe a little after spring break, all those off season times, and to get to somewhere hot, or get somewhere with sun or with water, or is typically what would be my favorite time of the year to take a vacation. And for those who are listening, taking time, your favorite time of the year to vacation doesn't have to be a particular season. It could be like maybe you're a seasoned traveler and you found that the perfect time to vacation every year would be between, some crazy time of like, um, April 27th, some obscure time, April 27th to May 13th. I don't know. It's like, but, so for me, it would be kind of something obscure like that, before or after spring break, not during spring break, because that gets crazy. Definitely not during the holidays, because holiday travel is very crazy. I remember I had to, I think I flew into Chicago during Thanksgiving, and Chicago snowing during that time. So like flights were delayed here where I'm at. And I didn't board, I had like maybe 10-hour delay and didn't board until like, early in the morning, early red eye, or late red eye, depending how you look at it. But currently, time that I usually take vacation, that I consistently take vacation is typically around the holiday times, like around between Thanksgiving and a few weeks into mid-December. Around that time, I typically vacation. It's not ideal, but it's time that I currently made a habit of because it's seeing family from out of state. We're going out to see family in Chicago, stuff like that. It's not an ideal time, but it's also a good time because you get to experience Thanksgiving or Christmas, or maybe sometimes even New Year's away from home. And but this is actually, now that we're speaking about it here in November of 2021, this is our first year that we're staying home. And so it's been kind of rough because it's like typically, as people who are listening, as you would know, home is where home is at. So you have friends and family who's here, tug of war, different plans. Usually we would get out of those plans because we would travel out of state to just one family and one plan. Now it's like we're trying to like juggle, like, all right, how are we going to make Thanksgiving work, with all our families and friends. Same with like, Christmas with gift exchange and all that stuff, and so yeah, current time of the year, I usually vacation during, fall, winter, holiday time. But what would be my favorite time is, during some some off season time, like during early spring is probably the best time. Things when like the weather isn't too crazy or too hot in typical hot vacation places, but it's also not too cold. Wherever you're going. So that would be my ideal time to vacation compared to when I typically vacation. Um, so, any final thoughts on those two questions before we wrap it up with the final question of the night?
I don't think so. I think you kind of nailed a couple of the seasons in which we like to travel.
Yeah. Especially, maybe I speak for a lot of people who live here in the Pacific Northwest. So final question to wrap it up in the night. This is how we do it here at Our Stories of Legacy and our episodes. We always like to end our episodes with, at least a thought-provoking question, right? Serious to all sorts of ranges. And so, this one's an easier one to wrap it up for tonight. So from what you answered so far, Tyler, in terms of your habits, your vacation habits, and why you typically take the type of vacations you currently do. So think about what you'd like to do during those vacations. If for some reason you couldn't vacation at all during that time of the year that you would like to, especially with the activities that you typically like to do during those time of year. So that means that you have to vacation on other seasons, right? So in your case, you like vacationing early summer. So summer is off the table. You can only vacation during fall, winter, etc. I don't know why I said etc. Spring's the only other season. But do you feel like you can still make those other seasons work regarding vacation for the typical activities you would usually like to do?
Yeah, easily. I think if it's revolving around like a race or something, I think it is oftentimes way easier to run in colder weather for me than running in hot weather.
Yeah.
4th of July, usually those races, you know, you got to start them early. You got to start them at 6:30, 7 o'clock, just because by the time you know, get to 9 a.m., it could be like 80 degrees. So it's one of those things. Like you have to consider the elements and the weather and, you know, are you going to have a heat stroke running a race kind of thing? How much water are you consuming? How much, like, are there sponges on the course to keep you cool to do all of that? Is there like pickle juice on the course so you don't like cramp while you're running? So there's so many different things there. And, you know, in the other seasons, you know, you have like a little bit of experience. You ran a race in March, you know, for
Yeah.
St. Patty's Day, essentially. The weather that day was it was rainy. It was a little wet, but I think in those conditions, like my body thrives a little bit more, just because I'm like, okay, it's cooler. Oh, for some reason, you know, because it's raining, it's like you just feel more hydrated, even though you know, you're not drinking as much water or whatever. You're still like, oh yeah, you know, I don't feel horrible. You know, one of the years during one of the 4th of July races, it was actually turned out to be like 60 and raining the entire time, but
Wow.
it helped me survive only because I was at a bachelor party that same weekend, which happened to also be in Portland. So I was driving back and forth between a bachelor party and a race. And that race, I was pretty much hungover, but the weather actually helped me get through it. So, yeah, funny story on that for those who are listening. But yeah, I would say, yeah, if it was running, the other seasons are preferable. Actually, I actually really don't like running a ton in the summer just because of how hot it is.
Yeah.
But like the other activities, like if I was to go camping,
Yeah.
you know, for instance, uh, a fall camping, yeah, you could probably get away with a little bit. But once you get into winter and spring, it's either going to be super wet, which is fine, you know, if you're okay with that. Winter, a little bit colder. Um, I think for that, if I still wanted to get that camping feel, I would, or camping vibe, I would just transition to say like maybe like tiny cabins or something, you know, cabin camping at that point. So like you still get to enjoy the feel of camping, and you can camp outside if you want. But if it is too cold, you have the cabin that you also have rented or whatever for that, which, you know, there's been a couple times where like I've gone camping in the winter. Sure, it's cold, but being inside of a cabin, well, it's still cold, but you know, you have a little fire or whatever. But it is nice because you get to see, you know, where I've gone, it's snowy. So it's like you walk, you know, wake up in the morning, it's cold, but you know, but then you're in the mountains surrounded by trees and snow and like a field, you know what I'm saying? That's so I mean, it's a good view. So it's a nice quiet way to get away too. So
Yeah.
I think that I could easily make all of those things work in other seasons.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually preferred those things in colder weather and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, yeah. I mean, what I'm doing is visiting family. So regardless of any season, I feel like I can make it work. You know, you brought up a good point for like more. You know, I'll be curious to see from our listeners and from other, you know, our friends and family who do other like specific, you know, type of activities, like, you know, going to the mountains when it's snowy. You know, obviously you can't do that too much when it's summertime. I wonder if like, actually, you know what? Don't take it from me. I haven't gone snowboarding or anything before, so I don't know. Maybe there is summertime mountains, but maybe not here where we are. Maybe so. Typically, where you would go, you know, which is an off-season time, you probably have to redo your traveling plans to go out of state or out of the country, to go another mountain with snow. So it's one of those things where it's like it just depends. So either way, man, I think vacationing is ideal. It's that time of year, gets us all in the spirit to kind of get moving and make gifts, see family, see friends, and I don't know, I love it, man. It's just the start of the year, and um, I hope it goes quickly, but at the same time it slows down because who knows what the new year has in store for us, right? Any final thoughts on before we wrap it up for tonight?
Is Axel good?
Yeah. Oh, you hear it through the mic.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
Axel?
that's my puppy. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
probably just having a fit.
yeah, he's barking. It's fine. It's not
Yeah.
like we're trying to have a conversation here, Axel.
No, right. She
He,
wants to join in on us.
yeah, I know, right? One of these days, one of these days.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I mean, nothing big as far as the closing statement from me. I think,
Yeah.
vacationing,
Take it away.
it's nice. I think I've had the luxury to experience vacationing during other seasons and stuff. So, I always take that 2 week one in the summer, but I still take my time off in other months of the year. Once we start getting the holiday season, I usually try to use I'm also, it's funny because I use all these hours and stuff, but I always always have a lot of hours that I still need to use before the end of the year kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I actually need to check my hours right now because I'm like, oh, if I if I'm too close to the cutoff, I need to take some time.
Right. Right.
So there's always a period where I have to usually every year I have to take a couple of days in November and December. So I end up just taking like multiple days just everywhere. So just kind of chilling and relaxing at that point. Same with the beginning of the year too. Sometimes it's just nice to get away in the off season or spring break or something. Try to avoid all the crazy spring breaks, but around that time too. So I've had the luxury, I guess, if you will, to experience those things in different seasons. So you could have your favorite season, and you can obviously like that for all the reasons above, everything that we've mentioned. Hobbies, family, whatever it might be, or maybe you just need to get away. Whatever it is.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the closing remarks. And as always, we're gonna wrap it up here. As always, keep the dialogue going. That's why Tyler and I keep doing it. It's one of those things where it's a nice reliever to always have this conversation. It's always keeping us talking, keeping our minds moving, keeping us thinking about any and every topic, because that's what kind of keeps the world going around and us, becoming more wholesome each and every day. So we're gonna wrap it up tonight. As always, we take this question, run it by your friends and family, or maybe run it by yourself. I don't know. Maybe you're talking to yourself in the mirror and answering this question. However you do it, like I said, keep expanding the knowledge. So as always, we wish you good night, and we will see y'all next week. Have a good one.
Later.